Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of The Expendable Show. I'm your host, The Expendable. We've got a lot to cover today, so we're going to cover that. It's insane. This is actually pre-recorded today. I'm going to be out on assignment later today, interviewing some people for my Kentucky segment. We're going to talk to the horse industry today. But if you like my show, like, subscribe, and ding the bell. I would appreciate it. The channel is rapidly grown in the last week. So thank you, everyone who tunes into the show. I enjoy doing this stuff, even though some of the things that I do are dangerous, but it's fine. So let's go through our statistics real quick before we get into our big topics. So Doge hasn't updated their website. It's still sitting at $190 billion with $1,180.12 per taxpayer. The debt clock totals are $562 billion saved, which translates to $5,012 in taxpayer money per taxpayer. The gas prices, we're pretty much holding steady in the mid-teens. So we're at, in 2024, obviously Joe Biden's gas price was $3.30, where we're sitting at $3.14 according to AAA right now, which if you guys haven't ever checked out AAA's gas site, it's pretty cool. But I'm a nerd, so that kind of stuff excites me. So mortgage rates. So we had a drop last week, but Jerome Powell jumps everything right back up because he's an idiot. So 2024, the yearly average under the Biden administration was 6.7%. Today, according to Zillow, we're sitting at 6.87. So we were below Biden. Now we're back just barely above. So Jerome Powell still trying to destroy America. Trump's approval rating has gone up. He was in the low 45s last week, and now he's at 45.8. The Dow Jones closed Friday at 44,342. So there's that. Now, I went too fast through my statistics. So we're going to go through the Tulsi Gabbard issued an interesting report this week. So I'm really excited to see that. As I read through it and researched it, Tulsi Gabbard has done a very good job, and I've been waiting on something like this. I thought it was going to come from Pam Bondi, but Tulsi Gabbard concluded her investigation, so that makes me feel a lot better. Now it's in Pam Bondi's court and in Congress's court, so I'm hoping that we can get some kind of accountability, and that's what we're missing in this country is accountability. As we know, when you commit a crime, you're held accountable. If you're running around and you're continually being corrupt, as pretty much is going to be the topic of discussion today, the corruption it has to stop. And then on top of that, we have Republicans who think, well, we're in power now, so we can do our thing. No, it doesn't work like that. You can't replace corruption with corruption. That's counterproductive. And for the politicians in our country that think that is gives you a pass to be corrupt, you need to be gone too. So that's my spiel on that, and we'll get into more of that. So Tulsi Gabbard issued a report where she asserted that former President Barack Obama's goal with the Russia collusion narrative was to subvert the American people's will in the 2016 presidential election. Now, Tulsi Gabbard has come out and basically said Barack Obama is responsible for all of the misinformation and the collusion, all of that, all the accusations against Trump. She stemmed it back to Barack Obama. So that's a good thing. I mean, it's not a good thing, but it's good that Tulsi Gabbard has found it, and she's standing on that business. And we're going to start to see, hopefully, some prosecutions. Now, to prosecute Barack Obama is going to be a big event, and it could be countrywide chaos. Because the lefties they're gonna go crazy if Barack Obama gets indicted. But Tulsi Gabbard declassified the report on the Obama administration's Russia hoax. She did that on Friday. She revealed overwhelming evidence that demonstrates how, after President Donald Trump won the 2016 election against Hillary Clinton, Obama and his national security team laid out the groundwork for what would be a years-long Trump-Russia collusion probe. So this was a manufactured thing planned out by Barack Obama to damage Donald Trump. She claims to have overwhelming evidence. I think we're going to see that play out, if people get indicted. Now, in my opinion, with how Pam Bondi does things, and everybody, if you watch my show, everybody knows that I'm not a big fan of Pam Bondi. But I am a fan of Tulsi Gabbard, and she spent the first 6 months of her job as the with Homeland Security, and she's built this case, and she did the work. So I'm very happy that we're seeing the results of something she's been working on, because she got real quiet. We didn't really hear anything out of Tulsi Gabbard, and then boom, she's like, I got a concluded investigation. Here, everybody do what you do with it. And so I'm impressed with Tulsi Gabbard. I'm happy with that. And now the buck stops with Pam Bondi. It's on her desk, just like the Epstein files were, just like all this other stuff that's supposedly on her desk that she's getting to it. Tulsi Gabbard did all the work. All Pam Bondi has to do is prosecute, indict and prosecute. So hopefully that happens. I'd like to see Barack Obama take the perp walk. So she noted to viewers, Tulsi Gabbard did, that this is an issue that is important to every single one of us as Americans, and not just a partisan issue, because it has to do with the integrity and strength of our democratic republic, which is true. If we continue to allow these schemes, these backdoor schemes, in my opinion, this is treason, and it's a true insurrection. That's punishable by treason. You can't start a coup and just say, well, we're just being passive aggressive about things. No, that's a coup. You're running a psyop against a sitting president. That's a coup, and that's punishable by treason. So I don't understand how, we've been allowing this as American voters to go on. It would be no different if Donald Trump did the same thing. I don't believe that Donald Trump's administration is running a coup-like psyop. For one, he can't, because we don't know who the Democratic candidate's going to be. There's like 5 people in the hat that are serious candidates. So, and Donald Trump's a lame duck president. There's nothing left for him to gain other than to reset America and then walk away in hopes of J.D. Vance and whoever runs with him, which I hope is Byron Donald. Hopefully, whoever's next will get it done and get it right. And, we can get somewhere with these things. So, the investigation lays out over 100 documents that they're referencing that are declassified and released, spells out in great detail exactly what happens when you have some of the most powerful people in our country directly leading at the helm. President Obama and his senior most national security cabinet, James Comey and John Brennan, James Clapper and Susan Rice, and others, essentially making a very intentional decision to create this manufactured, politicized piece of intelligence with the objective of subverting the will of the American people. So they're trying to hijack the will of the American people, which is illegal. You can't do that. So the intelligence chief claimed that the goal of Obama and his team was to essentially not accept the decision of the American people in 2016 and use this manufactured, politicized piece of intelligence as a mean to enact a years-long coup against President Trump. I am glad that Tulsi Gabbard used that word coup, because that's exactly what it is. There's no other word to describe what Barack Obama tried to do. So Tulsi Gabbard shared her thoughts on what she believed were the effects of the Russia hoax, and in correlation to what it could mean to the American people. She said the years-long Mueller investigation that cost taxpayers almost $40 million to congressional impeachments, endless smears and attacks against not only President Trump, but his family. He had senior members of his team who were investigated, some arrested and jailed. We had the heightened increased tensions between the United States and Russia. The list goes on and on about the consequences of President Obama and his senior cabinet members politicizing intelligence, which is true. We were in a tough situation there. They created a toxic political environment. Our government at the time inflicted tension towards Russia when Russia wasn't doing anything. I mean, they probably were doing something, but it wasn't this. So that's something that they need to get a grip on in this country, where these corrupt players are always trying to manipulate things into their favor for their own political gain. So the intelligence leader told Hannity that she would be, she was on Hannity. She told Hannity that she would be referring the documents to the Department of Justice for further investigation, noting that the accountability is critical to ensure Americans still have faith in our republic. I think Tulsi Gabbard's doing a good job. I'm happy with her report. She also went on to say, I am referring all these documents that we have found and uncovered, referring them to the Department of Justice for further investigation, accountability and action, not just investigation, but action, which is fine. Yes, thank you. Accountability has to take place. The American people's ability to have faith and trust in the integrity of our democratic republic is literally what's at stake, and therefore the future of our ability to exist as the country that we know it. This accountability is critical to make sure that this never happens again. Exposing the truth and naming those who are responsible should drive the accountability that has to take place. She also touched on the now infamous Steele dossier and reminded everyone that it lacks credibility, which it's trash. It's trash. Democrats are still holding on to that for some reason. The Steele dossier was used in this manufactured assessment that President Obama directed to be created, along with many other pieces of intelligence that the intelligence community itself for months leading up to the election said, this is not credible and should not be used at all. Correct. We know that it is a falsified report made by the hopes and dreams of morons. On Sunday morning, Gabbard, she was on Fox and Friends, and she discussed the new Russia documents, referring to the Obama administration's actions as a treasonous conspiracy. Thank you, Tulsi Gabbard, for calling it what it is. It is a treasonous conspiracy. She said, no one, no matter who they are, no matter how high up or how powerful they may be, no matter who the intelligence officials or professionals were who were part of this treasonous conspiracy, there must be accountability. And that's true. We live in a society where accountability has not been given. People are getting away with crimes, corruption, murders all the time because of political issues, political biases. And you're even seeing in small towns where they're attacking their own people. It's out of control. The United States government has harbored and nurtured and enabled this kind of behavior, and it's trickling down. And this is the type of thing that I think Tulsi Gabbard is doing a good job, and Pam Bondi needs to lay the hammer. The investigation's done. Where are you at? Also this week, so Comey's in trouble again. Hopefully this time we get somewhere with it. So former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey are under criminal investigation for potential wrongdoing related to the Trump-Russia probe. So this is in addition to what Tulsi Gabbard did, including allegedly making false statements to Congress. CIA Director John Ratcliffe referred evidence of wrongdoing by Brennan to FBI Director Kash Patel for potential prosecution. The sources said that the referral was received. So the FBI has this case in their hands now. So, as soon as Cash signs off on it, it's going to end up on Pam Bondi's desk too. So hopefully we can see Comey and not Ratcliffe and Comey and Brennan get the perp walk too. Criminal investigation into Brennan was opened and is underway. The Department of Justice sources declined to provide further details. It is unclear at this point if the investigation spans beyond his alleged false statements to Congress. As for Comey, DOJ sources told Fox News Digital that an investigation into the former director is underway, but could not share details of what specifically is being probed. The full scope of the criminal investigations into Brennan and Comey is unclear, but two sources described the FBI's view of the duo's interactions as a conspiracy, which could open up a wide range of potential prosecutorial options. The dossier, an anti-Trump document filled with unverified and wholly inaccurate claims that was commissioned by Fusion GPS and paid for by Democrat presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's campaign and the DNC, has been widely discredited. Last week's review marks the first time career CIA officials have acknowledged politicization of the process by which the ICA was written, particularly by Obama-era political appointees. So it sounds like John Ratcliffe, which I would trust him. He's the head of the CIA, so he's going to have access to all this privy information that we don't know. He's created this web and has put it all together, probably worked with Tulsi Gabbard. I would assume that they worked together on this and said, hey, you cover this part, we'll cover this part, and let's meet in the middle and get all this, because all these reports came in within like a day of each other. So I do believe that that this is their big move, that this is going to be a big thing. I do know that if Pam Bondi indicts, this is going to have a massive effect in our country. It'll be the first time that Trump is, but I don't really count Trump because that was all fake. But it'll be the first time that a U.S. president really is going to be criminally held accountable. And it is treason. You can't really water that down. So I don't know how the Democrats are going to try to play that hand. But I don't think it's going to be a winner. You'll probably see what they always do. They'll just throw everybody up down the river, under the bus. Everybody's going under the bus and getting ran over. So that's a good thing. Now, also, I was watching somebody had actually sent the video to me. So then I went on Theo Von's podcast and watched it. But Theo Von interviewed this lawyer, and he was from Kentucky, and he was part of a big law firm. And he claims that Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear and his father, Steve Beshear, were partners in a law firm called Stites and Harbison. The firm represented Purdue Pharma in litigation against the people of Kentucky. So Andy Beshear was part of the legal team that was fighting against Kentucky, the people of Kentucky, before he was Attorney General. That case was estimated to be worth around $1 billion. It settled just a couple days before Andy Beshear took office as the Kentucky Attorney General for $24 million. The theory is that Andy Beshear did Big Pharma a solid, got everybody to settle for next to nothing, and then there would be some kind of kickback later. That's what this lawyer was kind of instigating at. Like, he was basically saying this is a pay to play situation. So Andy Beshear, a few days after he made that settlement deal, or that his law firm did, I don't want to say he did because that's not accurate. His law firm made the deal, and then Andy Beshear becomes Attorney General. So the settlement should have been bigger. Beshear made a statement right afterwards and said, but it was during the case, during the litigation. He said that he had removed himself from the case because he was running for attorney general. Would have been a conflict, which is true. However, I think we all know what happened behind the scenes. Also, I did a little further digging. So Purdue Pharma donated $100,000 to the Kentucky Attorney General's Association during that same time period. So how did Andy Beshear, they're trying to say that there's no direct link to where Andy Beshear specifically received that money from Purdue Pharma. Well, it just so happens Purdue Pharma is getting sued by the state of Kentucky. They settle out for a fraction of the price. Now, all of a sudden, Purdue Pharma donates $100,000 to their former law firm associate, Andy Beshear's office. Come on now. Come on now. We ain't stupid. Just because we don't see the straight line to the corruption, it doesn't mean the corruption didn't happen. Look, I'm going to tell you, I've been working around in Kentucky for probably 2 months now. I can tell you Kentucky is a very corrupt state overall. But what I can also tell you is they're bad at, like, I've never seen a state so sloppy at they just don't hide anything. They leave it right out there for everybody to find. The community knows everything. That the community's in everywhere. They know everything. But the problem is they get bullied by their own government to stay quiet. And then people disappear. People, they take people to jail. They beat them up real bad just to remind them, like, hey, then you've got they had an inmate in Laurel County. His name was Marlo Baker. They brought him to jail, beat the crap out of him. He wasn't even involved in the situation. His buddy ran, and he stayed in the car because he didn't want to get a fleeing charge. And so they took him to jail, and the jailers and his staff, they beat the shit out of this kid just because his buddy ran. He wasn't even really charged with anything. They dropped everything because they beat him up so bad it almost killed him. And they settled out. Laurel County Sheriff's Office, they settled out. And then allegedly there's when this kid went to go pick up his settlement check from the sheriff told him, get out of my county or I'll kill you. That's the kind of stuff that happens. I think Kentucky forgets that, the country's moved forward and that good old boy stuff don't matter no more. Y'all got to follow the law too. You can't just Cowboy Curtis it everywhere. It's not going to work. Too many people are paying attention to the state of Kentucky right now. And they're sloppy. Their elected officials are sloppy. And it goes all the way up. As everybody knows, I'm not a fan of Thomas Massey. He's not super, super corrupt on the money side, but he's just anti-cooperation. You got Mitch McConnell, who his money trail goes deep into the toilet. It's Rand Paul. There's some days it's almost like you have a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with Rand Paul. Some days he wakes up and he does some great things, and then the next day he wakes up and he hates everybody. I don't understand that guy. So, there's a lot of corruption going on, and I'm going to kind of fill you in a little bit because I've been getting attacked. This is what you do as don't be a journalist and go into these small podunk counties because they'll attack you even though you're just there doing a job. So it's a travesty to people that do what I do, that you can't even go into a community and investigate as we have that right as journalists and report what's going on. Now, I don't do the constitutional audits like some of these dudes do. I don't like those people. They annoy me. And I would be annoyed if I was in law enforcement a million years ago. I would be annoyed if I had these auditors coming up to me and trying to instigate me to do something illegal or something that violates their constitutional rights. That stuff would annoy me. Like, I've got real crime out there to worry about. I don't have time to be playing your game. And that's how I feel about those auditors. So I don't do those types of things, but I will investigate corruption. And that's what I've spent a lot of time in London and Laurel County doing, and a little bit in Somerset, which is in Pulaski County, Kentucky. They kind of go hand in hand. And that money trail from Andy Bashir is what brought me there. And now that I'm there, it's a whole can of worms. That whole area down there in Kentucky is run by a lot of corrupt people. And the people who are suffering are the taxpayers. You don't even know how many people I've talked to in those communities that just cry because they don't know what to do. They don't know who to go to. They feel like everybody in the system is corrupt and they're just trapped. And then you look at the statistical data. Lexington is a pretty decent sized city in Kentucky. Lexington, Laurel County in Kentucky, which has a very low population, arrest 15 people on average a day, according to the statistics from the FBI. Now that is more than twice of Lexington. Why? Why is it like that in this little town? Is it just a community full of criminals, or is it a bunch of trigger-happy cops? Well, I can tell you it's a bunch of trigger-happy cops. I have 8 murder cases sitting on my desk right now from that county that they just blew under the rug. 8. And I got to make it through all of them because they're all important people. These people need justice. These people need their loved ones to rest, but they can't because there's this negative cloud of energy just circling around this community. And there's the Doug Harless case. That one blows my mind, and I keep finding more and more information about that. Why are cops wearing plain clothes going and executing a warrant at the wrong address, kicking in the guy's door, and then they kill him? And the actual officer that shot him is a kid named Josh Morgan. Josh Morgan has all these connections to the mayor. It's nuts. His mom there's just a link after link after link of this kid. He's supposed to be on leave because the Kentucky State Police is supposed to be still investigating what happened, but he's on third shift back on the road. He needs to be fired. That's what needs to happen. Or whoever sent these guys to the wrong address, whatever. Plus they were out of their jurisdiction. They should never have gone out there, period. The guy that they were trying to serve the warrant on, he was already in jail. He was already in jail. There was nobody to go get. The theory is that their mayor, Randall Weddle, told the police, the little goon squad they had, to go out there and do it. But I can't confirm that. It was told to me by somebody in his inner circle. And so I have to be more vocal about these things because of the dangers and the threats from this government. They do not like me. I'm probably the most spoke about person in Laurel County right now. And that's fine. I'm not doing this to be popular. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. And people deserve to be able to live in their community out of fear, with no fear. So I'm going to continue to do it. These people keep offering me things like, dude, can you set up an account? We can donate to your cause. I'm like, no, I don't need it. I don't need it. I do it because it's the right thing to do. I wake up and I go, how can I help these people today? And it's unfortunate. You know what I need to do? I need to take all these crazy stories and go take it to my friend who does movies and documentaries and turn this into a Netflix series. I think that would make a great Netflix series. And it'll expose that whole syndicate, which I call it a syndicate because they act like they're mob bosses. They treat London, Kentucky like it's a mob town. But it's run by a bunch of idiots. They don't cover their tracks very well. They just fly off the handle. Everybody's short-tempered. You got the cops beating people up on the side of the street, people recording it like in the parking lot of Burger King. There's all these situations that happen there that are sloppy. The problem is you can't get the KSP to do anything because of the links between the towns, the governor, and the KSP officers in the area. It's one giant criminal enterprise. They all need charged with RICO cases and get rid of them all and start over, just like what Trump's been doing. Fire them all, start over, bring in good cops. Now, there are some good cops in that area. There are. I know, too, that are concerned about their community. And there's the town's either full of cops or former cops. Now, the former cops, they've had it, too. There's a lot of those. And then there's some of the former cops that go into private business ran by the mayor of the town. And then the mayor of the town makes sure that they get all the business in their market. And they don't bid on anything. The city never bids on anything. Then the mayor goes and he has he has people that are on the city clock go to his personal properties on the city taxpayer money to work on the mayor's personal properties. He designs them, the buildings, he executes the construction and makes sure the construction's done. This guy's like the mayor's own property manager and contractor that the taxpayers pay for. And then they wonder how this guy's got $20-30 million. So there's just corruption after corruption after corruption. Not to mention that after the Doug Harless shooting, the KSP officers that showed up to investigate, allegedly, they got together with the police officers and they went to the police department, had a shut door meeting, and discussed how they were going to tell the story, how they were going to clean it up. They all needed to be on the same page. So they went in there and they got briefed on what to do. I'm sure Mayor Weddle was in on that as well because it looks bad on him. And I think that's why he won't announce he's running for governor yet, because he's waiting on KSP to brush all this under the rug for him. And then you go look at Mayor Weddle's little bit of background. He was arrested for theft by deception, 2 counts. And then everybody in the community is like, well, why does he seem like he's stealing our money? Well, you guys elected someone who steals money. So the corruption runs in every branch of the government. And as much as I'd like to see it all gone, I don't think there's enough resources in Trump's administration to get it all. I think we need more journalists, more private investigators, more contractors to go out there and do the work and present it. That's what needs to happen. So I encourage you, as long as you're able to stay safe, as long as you're highly trained, as long as you know how to deal with these types of investigations, you should be out there doing it. Expose everything. And, I got this mayor in London living rent-free. I'm living rent-free in his head. He wakes up thinking about me. He can't wait to post about me. His sister, his mom, they all do it. It's insane. It's insane how petty they are. They don't want to address any of the accusations that the community's throwing at them, but they'll attack the journalist that shows up to town. It's insane. And the guy doesn't even live in the city limits. He's got a big giant mansion with a big giant brick wall and like 17 car garage outside of town, outside of the city limits. And he says, I do live in town. What? Because you bought an old Victorian building and you never go live in it? So which one's your primary residence? Because we're going to need to look and see if you're actually at that residence. And that's one thing that the city council there called him out on at the last city council meeting. Like, you don't even live in the town. And the people are getting mad because he's just flat out lying to them. He thinks he can get away with it. He thinks he's bigger than the community. But we're going to work to continue to empower the community and get this guy out of there. They deserve somebody who's actually in the community doing things the right way and not somebody who pads his pockets. The mayor also owns the gas station that he makes all of his police officers fill up with. He's got so many of these little, he only gets to make the money kind of schemes as the mayor. So we're going to keep digging into him. I'm not a big fan of his, but he's been a lot of fun to deal with. And I'm going to keep doing it. His minions keep, they were popping up there for a while, but I think I called them out. And I think they disappeared for a little bit. So we'll see what happens. But that's going to be my show. I know it's a short one. I'm not going to be here on Wednesday. I have to travel to Alabama on Wednesday. So I've got something else brewing over there. And I'm going to try to be back on Thursday. Don't hold me to it, but I'm going to try to come back with a vengeance on Thursday. I probably just moved the show to Thursday. I know I keep talking about it, but Wednesday seems to be a big travel day. Everybody wants to talk to me on Wednesdays. But I'm out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace.